This episode is brought to you by Dragon Ball Legends, the mobile fighting game based on the Dragon Ball series. Featuring high-quality 3D graphics and authentic voice acting, the game follows Shallot, an original character, and his adventures with Goku and others. With intuitive controls and simple card-based gameplay, unleash combos and powerful team-based attacks. Battle players around the world in friendly matches, compete in the rankings, or team up in co-op. And now Dragon Ball Legends' 5th anniversary is on. Download Dragon Ball Legends today.
Me.
Welcome back to Me. I Am a Memoir, the meaning of Mariah Carey. Last week, I revealed my ultimate Mariah album, which had many surprises in it.
It did. I didn't hate it.
Many surprises.
There was no dreadful ones. That's all I can ask for. That's probably about to come and get me, isn't it?
So this week, we are going to be hearing Posh's amazing 12-track album and the 3 tracks for the deluxe edition, the singles, and the thing I'm most looking forward to. What the fuck is this thing called?
Yes.
But we'll get that in a minute. Instead of Me Moments, last week we did promise that I would reveal my secret album.
Yes. Oh my God. I'm terrified.
I had to make one I had to make the ridiculous one so I could make the serious one that I really intended. So my secret album is Vanishing. It's the first track. Okay.
Because we left it on a cliffhanger, so people have been hanging out for this.
Yeah.
All right, so
followed by All I've Ever Wanted.
Right, yeah.
You know, my favourite belting song. Then Almost Home. And Almost Home is the start of a run of songs Mariah had almost nothing to do with except for singing. The Beautiful Ones featuring Drew Hill.
That was a great 3-track EP. I love that.
Against All Odds, Take a Look at Me Now.
Oh, no.
Not the Westlife version. No, Out Here on My Own from the Rarities.
Yeah.
And then Without You. And we get to the end of our section of Mariah covering everything. Yeah. Then we just plow straight on into Butterfly. Like, all of these songs are ballads.
Yeah.
Not really
I'm
much
surprised
here.
Butterfly wasn't on your...
On the other one?
I'm trying to think. Did you have any songs? You did. You had My All.
Yeah.
Is there anything else from Butterfly?
So Butterfly, followed by Don't Forget About Us.
Love it.
Then Reflections.
Oh, Reflections of a Syrup Peter Rose.
Rose. Then Can't Let Go from Emotions, which is a favourite. And finally, the last track on the album, it's because we've had so many ballads, why not just get the ballad to end all ballads? When You Believe from the Prince of Egypt with Whitney Houston.
I was really expecting it to be the fantasy remix, like the full 8.5 hour.
Well, you haven't got to the deluxe version yet because we've got the Dream Lover 11-minute
Dream
remix. Lover. Fantasy 11-minute remix. And final track on the deluxe, which is also the 4th single released, Prisoner.
Oh, so good. I love it.
The singles were When You Believe, number 1. Almost Home is the 2nd single. Don't Forget About Us is the 3rd single. It's amazing.
Something tells me that's going to be the album that everyone votes for. The dodgy one that you just threw together. Like
the dodgy one, which is like 80% ballads.
Yeah.
Actually, it might be 95% ballads. Actually.
That's pretty much. And a bunch of covers, songs you didn't write. It's
a lot of covers, a lot of ballads.
I mean, we'd still listen. I'd probably skip track 4, but. All right, are we ready to have a breakdown about me breaking on down my Posh album?
Yeah. Let's break on down Posh's ultimate MC.
Break me on down. Opening track. Any guesses? Any guesses?
For your opening track, the legs opener of Bosch's album. I'm going to guess Fantasy.
Nope.
Ooh.
This was interesting. I think this is going to be a surprise.
Did you have trouble thinking of a first track? Because I was like,
to be honest, no.
I was like,
I kind of pretty much knew this one. Yeah. Because as we go into the album, you'll understand where I'm coming from in terms of
it's long ago, isn't it?
No. It's not even from Daydream.
I'm just gonna start to just name all the songs of Daydream.
Yeah. Track 1 through. No, I was like, how does one start a Mariah album? I was like, how do we encompass everything that she can do? And I thought, really, you can't. So I was like, I'm going to have several intros to this album. So I picked something.
She's taking a run up.
We are. We have something that it comes with its own built-in interlude. So it felt full Mariah moment. And that is Can't Take That Away, Mariah's theme.
Oh, excellent. I can't believe you've opened with my closer.
Yeah. So it's your perennium. It's your penultimate. But what I liked about the intro is it feels like an overture. It feels like you're at a show. And I really thought about this whole album, rather than it being lyrically telling a certain story, because, I mean, we could have done that. I wanted it to feel like a concert. I wanted it to feel like that kind of journey. Oh, God, Michelle Bridges is here. She's rocked up. So I was like, what I love about that song is, one, it wasn't an immediate favorite for me. So I thought that's going to be a surprise. But you've got this big, long, beautiful sort of intro, and then the drama of the piano into her first vocal. And it's listening through headphones when I was doing this, I was like, her voice on this song is just so good. Like, this could just be an album on its own. Just that one song.
You know what I love about it? It's got the drama and the kind of plaintive, almost desperation of looking in, but it's got big orchestration, and it's co-written with Diane Warren. Like, I know they didn't really get along, but it's just that
it's the right amount of her.
Yeah, it's like you just go, well, this was a very brief collaboration, but it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I feel like this song isn't as well known as it probably should be. I also think it's one of her most complex melodies in a ballad. This is not a regular ballad, and I don't mean that in a regular person way, but it's just not a regular ballad. Like, there are the ballads like Hero that are great, but maybe don't. They're great in their simplicity, but they're not reinventing the wheel. Whereas I think this
Hero was written for someone else.
Exactly. I feel like this is Mariah going, I'm going to write the best ballad I've written. And I'm going to sing this shit out of it. That's what I feel. So I was like, I want people to listen to this and go, holy crap. Like, what just happened?
I know.
So then getting into our big steaming number 2, I was like, how do we follow that? We follow it with another interlude intro.
It's going to be all intro until we get to track 10. Isn't
Pretty much it. This song was always going to be on here, but I didn't know where to put it because it has a similar kind of build-up intro. But I thought, you know what? What's happening is we go from Can't Take That Away. We can't go full into something that's going to smash you in the face. It's a journey, everyone. Mariah's going to have an outfit change because it would make sense. She's probably stepped onto the stage with a rainbow. And now she's got to change.
She's in a full princess dress, like it's a big thing.
And now we've got to get the party started, if you will. Mm-hmm. And that is Fantasy.
Fantasy. Now, of course, all 11 minutes of the Def Club remix. I'm really
I wanted, we love all the versions of Fantasy, but I particularly love the OG.
ODB? Are we getting ODB?
No, I always just liked her version. Yeah.
You just like her.
Don't get me wrong, I like the ODB version, but I think because, again, Daydream was that first album we had in the house, so that it's almost like the first. It's my introduction to music.
First single.
Yeah,
like it's a big first single.
And as we know,
it's a big statement of intent.
Yeah, the sample still holds up.
Tom Club's great. Yeah,
yeah. And after Can't Take That Away. I mean, that's Mariah's theme. She's telling you who she is in that song, but now it's just like, oh, but there's more to me. I can have fun too. I can go on roller coasters. You didn't know that?
Yeah.
So that is my number 2 to get the third digit. Everyone take a deep breath. As you said, you need something kind of iconic as the third track to remind people that, yeah, these first 2 tracks are good, but have you heard track 3?
Have you heard track 3?
Have you heard track 3? Because you don't know what's about to happen. Yeah. And that is We Belong Together.
We Belong Together. I'm like our albums are very similar.
Yeah, it is interesting. Like listening to you, I was like, it's interesting. I mean, only one so far has crossed over.
Yes. But I feel like the vibe.
And wait for the next track. Like, it's really funny. Just in terms of how I was thinking. But I just thought it's funny because before we did the Mariah journey, I wouldn't have said We Belong Together was an absolute pick favourite for me. I knew it was a top tier for general fans. Yeah. But I thought, I kind of liked Shake It Off, and it's like that maybe a bit more at the time.
I mean, there are so many hits on that album.
There's so many hits and shirts.
It's hard to choose one. There's so many hits. There's all the shirts, there's the hits. It's just so many hits. Like, how can you choose?
Exactly. It's just silly. Just bother. But I think listening to it and just really understanding what was going on beforehand in the lead up to that album, how sort of counted out she'd been.
Yeah.
And then how complex the verses are. Like, the second verse is better than the first verse. And that never happens.
No.
And it's so iconic over and over. It didn't have to be this good. Like, I mean, maybe it did in order to shut people up. But just as songs go, it didn't need to be this good. And it just gets better.
Look, the other thing I love about it is that it just, it's pure Mariah. Yeah. It's just like, I mean, I think Jermaine Dupri even said, when they were recording the album, he goes, I just said, let's hear Mariah. Yeah. Let's hear the Mariah that everyone loves, which is you singing until the windows shake.
Yeah. And I feel like this is another one of those songs everyone knows this song. Everyone knows the lyrics. And yet it's not an easy sing-along song. There's a lot of words in this song. So for people to know it the way they know it, it connected. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, this is a hit. It was like, it was in people's blood. She was.
I remember, I think it was an episode of Ellen, and someone was hinting at a diva cracking the shits at the Grammys, and they wouldn't say who it was. And Ellen's gone, let me guess, crying things. I just started singing the lyrics out loud.
The pain reflected. It's only half of what she was feeling inside.
And it was just a moment. It was like, everyone knows those lyrics. Yeah. Everyone knows who exactly you're talking about. Yeah. Like, it's...
Oh, I can hear Babyface. Hang on. I do think
that's one of my favourite lines in the song because... especially because in the remix, when she sings kind of the full song, what she's talking about, I only think of you on 2 occasions, that's day and night. And you're like, oh, it's so much more. It gives it such a, ugh.
Did you see Babyface on the Kelly Clarkson show?
No, I did not watch Kelly Clarkson. I know you watch religiously. Oh, I've got things to do.
It's all I do with my life.
Watching daytime television. It's like,
I mean, I watch it on YouTube because it doesn't air here, but they pop it up on YouTube. But she does a thing with certain musicians. I think it's like Songs and Stories or something. So she's done it with Garth Brooks and Pink and all different. Did she do it with Dolly? Yeah. I can't remember. Dolly was definitely on there. I can't remember if they did that, but she did it with Babyface. So it's like, oh my God, he wrote all these songs. Because how I know Babyface is a song with Stevie Wonder, which I think was How Come How Long.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I think of when I think of Babyface as him as a singer.
Babyface, he wrote When You Believe, or he co-wrote it and produced it. Like, so
many.
And a lot of Whitney.
Yes. Yeah. And so they just sort of sang along, and he was telling stories. It was very sweet. So check that out, everyone. All right, into track 4.
So you're on to number 4. We're a thumb short of a fist.
Now, exactly. And it's around this time that you said the same thing that I thought, which is we need to change direction a little bit. Gear shift.
Change gear, yeah.
And I nearly had Side Effects here. Because
oh my God.
I do love that song.
It's such a great song.
And it was probably the hardest cut that I made. Was
getting rid of Side Effects.
Because I do love it very much. And it's from it's my second favourite Mariah album. But I felt that with some of the content on this album, some of it's quite serious. So I was like, we need something a little bit more attitude Mariah. Like, I was like, Mariah's funny and she brings it. So I was like, I want something that has the same earwormness as Side Effects, but has tongue firmly in cheek. And so that we are ready for a big standing O.
Standing O.
And it just felt like this feels like the most commercial song she's written in a long time, but also totally Mariah. Yeah. Like, it's just sort of it's its own little thing.
Was Standing O the one that we suspected was going to have Kanye on it?
Yes, yeah. And so that's now how I imagine the song. Like, you know, like that sort of personality, let's say. And there's just something about it that's so sarcastic and yeah, so it was so
that's a fun song,
unexpected for me to put it on here.
I was the same with Side Effects. Like, it was just like
I think that would have been expected of me because I always talk about it.
Unexpected of me, but expected
of me. You. Yeah. And so, that was like a fun, like, we are going to change it up here because I want people to get to track 4 and go, oh, I didn't know there was like it's sort of a sing-along earworm song. I was like, I want people to be like, this is unexpected. I thought track 4 was going to be a cover, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was Standing O. And then because, it's my album and I do what I want, we're going to shift gears again.
All right. We're getting to the end of the fist.
We've got the whole fist is in there. And I felt like after something like Standing O, you needed something more grounded, more sort of like...
After you've had, a little bit of you've had your little bitch and you've had your little, moment.
But now I'm going to remind you that I'm a fucking singer and a fucking songwriter. And I mean, the first like 2 notes of this song, you're like, oh, we're singing into our special microphone with a little bit of My All.
My All.
The OG.
The album version.
Yeah.
The OG.
I love an OG version.
I know you love it.
Pretty much all the way through, except for Angel's Advocate. I preferred a lot of the Angel's Advocate stuff.
Yeah.
Because similar to Can't Take That Away, I think this is her other really well-written ballad.
Yeah.
But this feels like a totally different kind of ballad. Like it's got the sexiness, the yearning. I've just never heard another song that sounds like it.
No. And it's got that beautiful guitar. Like it's
it's teaching some people how to
a little bit of violin.
Yes.
Lonely fiddle. Mariah's Lonely Fiddle.
We all love a
My All, ladies and gentlemen.
This is also a regular person's favourite song, which is funny because I don't know if they could attempt this.
Oh my God, they could not.
Can you imagine?
They could not.
I would love it. I'm so excited. I'm going to ask her. Can you please sing this?
The other thing I think, it's one of those songs I've always loved, but I feel like after reading the book, it gave it a little bit of extra frisson. It kind of
because I know,
it a bit more.
Yeah. Mariah's talked so much about everything being a fantasy, but this is not. This is something that really feels like, it's almost like you actually feel like you're in this, like, because I always have this image of her literally like just laying in bed thinking of this person and feeling a bit, it's like you're here. And I just picture that. And it's almost like you're not imagining Mariah in that position, you're imagining yourself in that position, if that makes sense. Like, that's how fast.
I remember when we were going through the albums and I was like, oh, this feels like she's actually taking a step towards writing about her own emotions as opposed to her assumption of what emotions must be like, because she was, she was living in side effects.
And it almost feels more a more vulnerable place, because it's sort of like, she was almost presented as asexual, and it's probably how she felt for a long time as well, especially in a certain marriage. And so it's like, Mariah's talking about her sexuality. Like, it's unexpected, but also it's earnest, but not in a cloying, embarrassing way. That's why I think it works so well, because this could be terrible. Like, it could have been in any
and it's old mate Plinky Plonk still working on it, so it could technically go horribly wrong.
Absolutely. I don't think he was allowed to do.
You could end
much
up with forever.
She had brought her own butter knife and was pointing it towards him. Like, don't come any closer. All right, you stay there. This does take us into track 6, and I was like, okay, how do we get out?
So how do we get into the second fist? How do we begin? Our first finger.
How do we get out of my all and into something else and have a gear change? Would it be too jarring to just shove?
This is the main reason I chose the Divas live version, because it has its own gear change built in.
That's true.
Like, you go into a ballad, you get a full-throated delivery, and then you come out of a dance song and it's like, oh, I don't even need to make these decisions. She's fixed it for me.
Well, luckily Mariah fixed it for me as well, because we've gone from this sort of guitar-y, piano-y led ballad into some, what I would call, more iconic keys.
Mm.
But then we also go full dancey, disco-y Mariah with a little, you don't know what to do, feet wale.
What to do.
I was like, how do we get from my old ballad into something more upbeat? This is how we do it.
Oh.
And there's something about it, like, my all ends, and then you hear the piano go, dim, 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 like, and it just like, oh. Yeah, it's so good.
Oh, remember how excited we were about this track?
One of my favorite lines is still, I miss you half. It's almost half as much as you miss me.
It's the best.
It sounds like a compliment at an 8.
It is not.
And it's just, it technically kind of was a single, but it was a single from an album that was a bit all over the place. But I feel like it should have been a hit. And I just feel like more people need to know it, because it's so fun. It's kind of the best version.
Also, it was in a phase of Mariah, not being everyone's favourite. So.
Yeah. It sort of feels like the best version of this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I'm having a diva moment, but I'm also being fabulous. And I've put my bag down. You didn't think I was putting my bag down, but I am. But I'm also just going to quickly remind you that I'm fucking Mariah Carey.
Yeah. You don't know what. And a great hook. Like, such a fun hook.
And I love the feature. It's one of my favourite features as well. It's a lesser known one, but I do really like it. And of course, this helped bridge between my all to this next track. I was like, how am I going to get to this? Because I wanted something that had a little bit more... Because Mariah loves a hip-hop. So I was like, I needed something that had a little bit more of that influence. And this is the song you've been waiting for.
Fantasy with ODB.
I started, after this track, I started repeating tracks that I had already done. Because I forgot them all. Forgot all the others.
You were like, oh, I've got Fantasy on here, but I can put the ODB one as well.
Yeah. No, this is the song you've been expecting and waiting for this whole time.
Number 7.
Number 7, Long Ago.
Long ago.
This was nearly sort of around track 4, but we weren't ready. Because you needed to be in a certain headspace. And the beat and the sample in that I've always felt it's kind of got like, I don't know, it feels a little dirtier, a little deeper. And it's
a deep album song. Like, it's not an early album song.
No.
Like, it's a gear change song. It's like we're moving things around here. We're gonna get on down. We're gonna get a little bit, dirty.
And it's still, like, I feel like it's one of the songs from her discog that really could come back around in the same way that what did we just have? It's a rap. Yes, I feel like this is a song that get someone to feature on it on a remix. Do it, please.
Can I tell you, It's a Rap with Mary J. Blige sat in my album for a very long time.
We love him.
Like, it was there for a really long time, and eventually I booted her in favour of Neo.
Sorry, MJB. Have you seen Mary J. Blige before, like live?
No, not in person. I mean, I have watched her live on the television. But
I mean, that can be hit. That can be hit and miss. But I saw her at Hamer Hall. It was very good. All the diva that you'd hope.
Oh, she's
took
just
us
the best.
all the way to church.
And she loves
church.
Mariah.
She does.
Also, Mariah is in my favourite Mary J. Blige song film clip.
That's true. None of that drama, no more. Okay, from about this point onwards.
It's just fantasy, isn't it?
It's just fantasy. This is all daydream. It's just the rest of daydream. No, I started feeling like, okay, how do I close this album? Where are we going?
Yeah.
It's in the same way that, how do I begin this album? Like, it was that thing of, I kind of knew, but then I was like, but there's so many good songs that could begin a Mariah album. In the same way there's so many close that could.
I mean, you haven't got to the end of the second fist, let alone closing the album.
No, exactly. But
got a while to go.
We're taking a run up. And so and because sometimes I think about certain songs.
So have you got a really long outro, the same as we had a really long intro?
Yeah, this is 8 songs that are the one outro. No, it's just more that certain songs I was like, oh, this will probably be the second last song. It's not quite the last song, but it would be the second last song. But then more songs came up, and I was like, oh,
I know.
So now
just
where does
keeps
this
happening.
go? So at this point, I thought, okay, we've had the balance, we've had the yearning, we've had some fun, we've had some attitude, we've gotten a little sexy with Long Ago. We need something that's a truth bomb. And I can't tell you how much I just continue to enjoy this song more and more every time I hear it. With all them other regularities, it's For the Record.
For the Record, I was wondering if you were going to start with For the Record, because I know you love the regularities.
Yeah. I feel like this can't really be an opener. It needs to be towards the end, and it was gonna be my second last, but then just as things got massaged around, it kept moving up. But I couldn't be earlier than this. Like, no. I was like, no, we've got to. I don't know. Again, it's a gear change. It's.
When you said massaged around, I just had a vision of Mariah getting a massage, and it would take 12 people.
and none of them are allowed to touch her.
No. There's one for each part of her body that needs to be attended to.
Yeah. No one's actually allowed to put flesh on flesh. Absolutely not. They'd have to be in the other room. So yeah, I don't know. Even the other day when I was listening to this, because I actually went and listened to the album in full and moved a couple of songs, and when it gets to that, to the bridge, she's self-referencing so much. Like, I'm actually going to pull the lyrics up because there was even more than I realized. So like,
right. Well, I suspect it's called For the Record, as in, I've got a lot of records.
Yeah, well, hits. For the record exec.
So many.
So the obvious ones were, Underneath the Stars. That was clear. But so we got For the Record, You'll Always Be a Part of Me. What is it? Always Be My Baby.
Yeah.
Can't Nobody Say I Didn't Give My All to you. I told you Underneath the Stars that You Belong to Me, which, I mean, that could be We Belong Together as well as Underneath the Stars. And then it's obvious that you can't let go of us. Honey. I'd never clicked that she was saying, honey. It's so well written. I just can't deal with it. And the more I listen to it, the more I'm like, how can Fab not love this song? I just go, what do you mean? Like, the regularities.
The regularity is
so clever.
Yeah.
So
I did say all of her writing, her lyrical writing on that album was amazing.
That's true.
But I just was not a fan of some production choices.
Okay. We'll have to live with it. But I just think she's so clever. And this is where, because we didn't get to have side effects, this is where this can come in and sort of bring that attitude, but it's also kind of a sadder version. You know, it's not all the way ballad, obviously. But there's something
it's from your favorite album. So.
That is true. Second favorite, yeah. So getting towards this, you know, towards the end of the second fist, I was like, I think we're going to need another change up. And this was another song that was earlier on, and you actually had it.
Fourth finger of the second.
Yes, you actually had it earlier on. But there was something that makes it feel really infinite that I was like, this needs to be later. This needs to be a gem towards the end. And that is... A surprise. And that is our Put Your Bag Down, Dance Around It, Meteorite. The actual meteorite is just a big bag with MC on it coming towards Earth. Very sparkly.
See, this is the thing. I feel like it's lived in that place for too long, and I wanted it to be released into the world as a great big moment.
That's so fair. I think for me, this is one of those songs that I'm like, not everyone knows this song. Like sometimes it's like, I remember, what was this? I think it was the Kylie's Fever album, when obviously Can't Get You Out of My Head was this huge hit. And then I got the album, and some, you know, people often release maybe 2 or 3 songs and then the album.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, that was like one big hit song. Here's the album, probably because they were like, it's such a big hit. And I remember listening and going and getting to track 8, which is In Your Eyes, and thinking, oh, they won't release this. No one ever releases track 8. And it was In Your Eyes, and I thought, this is great. And then they released it. I was like, oh, okay, I'll find another favorite. Love at First Sight. And they're like, oh, guess what? Guess what, everyone? We're going to release that. So sometimes songs that are like yours that feel really special. Another one is Glitter in the Air by Pink. And then she went and sang it at the damn Grammys, and now everyone knows it and loves it. And I was like, but that was my special. I know it was a lot of people's special song. Like, you know, obviously other people have heard it, but they're not the mainstream songs.
Can I tell you my meteorite moment that propelled it into my upper echelon of my album?
Yeah.
I was in a cafe the other day, and they were playing Kylie, Hand on Your Heart, fun stuff. Like, you know, there was a bit of more recent Kylie. There was just like heaps of great fun dance songs coming on, some 80s stuff. I was like, oh, this is a great playlist. And then in the middle of it, Meteorite. And I'm like, oh,
the taste.
Oh, it's not just Posh and I. This is transcended. This is someone else's favorite Mariah as well.
I wonder if it's a listener.
It was just one of those moments. I'm like, yep, you know, it just was and because it was isolated from other Mariah songs, because it's on an album and it's never been really released as a single, so it just kind of always sits there in with other Mariahs. But hearing it with some Kylies, with I think there was a Sister Sledge, like there was a lot going on. There was some more Stock Aitken and Waterman. And it was just a moment I just went, oh yeah. Like Emancipated from the album. It's a banger.
It is.
Like, I want it released. I want it out in the world.
I mean, that's fine.
And hearing it out in the world just made me go, oh, Meteorite.
Single one.
Needs to be very high on my list now.
Yeah, it's funny because it was much earlier for me. I think it was just as it, again, got all put together. It was the transition.
Which is obviously what happened with Mariah when she was putting that album together. Like, it was like, oh, yeah, this is a perfect place for it right now.
Yes, yeah. The transitions for me were really important. And I always love an album that gets better as you go.
Yeah.
Like, it's always unexpected. Like, of course you want something great to begin.
You don't want to be like Justin Timberlake's first album, which is like a couple of banger Neptune songs and then, ooh.
Oh, really?
You know, all the singles are so good. Like all those great early Timberlake singles. You're like, oh, this is all great. Cry Me a River's great. Yeah. Like, you know. And then you get the album and you're like, oh, this is good. What is this one? What is this? Oh. You know our trips to the regular verse? The back half of the album's like that.
Yeah. Oh. I mean, she has an excuse. He can do good songs.
Oh, he can sing, but it's just like, you know, like when it's the Neptunes, he's great. When it's not, it's not.
This episode is brought to you by Dragon Ball Legends, the mobile fighting game based on the Dragon Ball series. Featuring high-quality 3D graphics and authentic voice acting, the game follows Shallot, an original character, and his adventures with Goku and others. With intuitive controls and simple card-based gameplay, unleash combos and powerful team-based attacks. Battle players around the world in friendly matches, compete in the rankings, or team up in co-op. And now Dragon Ball Legends' 5th anniversary is on. Download Dragon Ball Legends today.
All right, are we ready for the end of the second fist?
I am ready for your DP of fisting.
Now, this could have been a finale for sure.
Yeah.
And when I started thinking about that concert idea of like that kind of narrative happening, I was like, this is the end before the encore. Obviously, we've got a deluxe version, that's a whole separate thing. But this is almost like you think this is the final track, but it's not. It's not the final track, but it feels like a moment.
It's Rainbow Interlude.
Yeah.
I remember that was one of your favourite songs on that album.
Yeah, I do. There was the one from Memoirs as well. There was one. I was like, this is better than the actual song. No, it's just the beautiful ones. I finally decided to love it.
Oh, you finally come across. It's so good.
Absolutely not. That's never happened. It gets worse when I hear it. It's the opposite of For the Record. It just keeps getting worse. No, this was hard one. Like I said, this is why, so For the Record and Meteorite, they were almost sort of my second last tracks a couple of times. But then I was like, oh no. I didn't know how am I going to end it? And this is such a final song, and yet I wasn't ready to go. I wasn't ready to leave the concert. So I was like, let's make track 10 a moment, but then also have some more moments. And this is, it's just so good. It's Fly Like a Bird.
Oh, Fly Like a Bird.
Like, you can see what I mean. This could have been the end.
Yeah.
But I think with a song so strong, you can't hear that and then go to the shops. You're like, no. I need more. She can't just do that and then walk away. Yeah. So,
Fly Like a Bird did hover around my album for a very long time.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Like it
I think it'll make
zoomed past. Yeah. It's such it is so glorious. It's so triumphant.
Yeah.
It's a lot of vocal.
It's so like, it makes you a believer, even if you're not.
It does.
It's like, I would like to sing this in church.
It's a big churchy moment.
Yeah. And I think more than any other squeal moment, this feels like we love every squeal, but pretty much every squeal feels like decoration or a fun thing. Oh, look what I can do. This feels like a squeal of going to Jesus. I'm getting so carried away right now that the only place to go is Squeal Town.
Remember when we talked at length about the unearned key change in Supernatural? Yeah. This is the complete opposite. Yeah, this is the most deserved earned whistle note of all time.
Yeah, literally.
Like, it feels like a natural progression to that note. It's not a let's do some squealing here, or this is my trademark, I better pop it in. Yeah. This is like I just spontaneously got there.
Yeah, it's so intense, the build in this track.
Yeah.
That literally there was nowhere else to go. You had to go full squeal because you're feeling it. You just, to not go there wouldn't be right.
You got to love a song with a dead drop.
That's true. And that's why, being at the end, it was like, do I put it? But it just felt so final, which can be great. Obviously, it was a great way to end Emancipation. But for my album, I didn't want that. I wanted it to be this shock of like... But there's more.
What was that? And now you've got a post-credit sequence in track 11.
Yeah. Which, this might be surprising.
It's an interlude, isn't it? You've finally gone for it's a daydream interlude.
I don't think this is surprising. I don't think it's surprising that it's on the album, but I do think it's surprising that it's here.
And it's from you? Surprising from you?
It's surprising that this song would be anywhere else. It'll make sense when I say what it is.
Mm.
You can't go from a high like Fly Like a Bird and then just go into some regular song. No. You've either got to match the intensity or you've got to completely go in the opposite direction. And so as we're all standing there at the Mariah album concert, and we're just blown away. And we're like, what is she got? How can she do anything more than this? Mariah is going to walk.
Here at the ultimate MC album listening party, we've just all had our minds blown.
Absolutely.
I'm ready for this moment. What is happening?
Mariah is going to walk out onto that stage, unzip her chesticles, and show us directly into her heart with Looking In.
Looking In. Oh my God.
It
We're
is
such twins.
I know. It is the biggest contrast in her whole discography, really, when you look at Fly Like a Bird and how that ends to how Looking In begins and is the whole way through. And I was like, I know it's kind of weird, but it's that contrast to me was perfect. I was like, just ending on that high, there's always going to be some way to drop down. And I'm like, if we're going to drop, let's drop all the way and let's see her at her most vulnerable from almost her most strong in the album before.
Yeah.
In the song before.
Do you know I was very close to the version of Close My Eyes from the Rarities that was also in the audiobook. Like that was like I was right there. I'm like and I just was like, what am I doing? It has to be Looking In.
Yeah. Well, because see, this is the thing. This is the other surprise, which is it's not the final song.
It's not the final. This is surprising me. Like Looking In now on my album, it's an introspective end, like a Mariah album. But on yours, this is Rainbow Interlude. This is an interlude.
And I thought
because it doesn't feel like a whole song. Like when if you've got something after it, it feels like it's on the way to somewhere. Yeah. So I'm interested to see where Looking In ends up here on the posh album of glory.
What's going to follow?
What happens with your last finger?
So this was one that outside of this, what do you call it? Activity. This what do you want to call it? I would have been like, oh yeah, absolutely. But then as I was doing it, it almost didn't work anywhere. And I was like, oh no, but it's so good. And is it a bonus track? And it was for a moment. Mm-hmm. But once I had that, because I was like, I don't want to end on Fly Like a Bird and I don't want to end on Looking In. I was like, how do I end this album? That's been a whole journey.
It's Thank God I Found You.
It's that shit, that Da Brat bonus track from Charm Bracelet. I was like, I'm not ending on this crazy big high. I'm not ending on this crazy low. Like, where do I go? And so I thought, you know what? We have to take it back to basics, really, and back to the beginning with A Little Vision of Love.
Wow.
Which, the one thing I will say, it does feel odd to have her first song as the last song, but it also feels like if this was the Mariah album concert, we start with her theme and then we go back to that first memory of her, that first moment. And when you hear that voice, it's a reminder of, I had nailed it on track one. Like, you know, all these other songs that I'm bringing you that are incredible. I didn't need to do any of that because this already did it. And I'm just
in the vault forever.
Yeah, I'm just keeping on going because I can. because I can.
I do love you've got the dead drop at the end of Fly Like a Bird into what is now an interlude of Looking In. Yeah. And then we get to a big belty bunch of runs.
Which that's the feeling. I was like, how do I do? And maybe because it's part of what I do myself. I'm always thinking about these things.
You're putting your albums together. You're thinking about what song comes where and where it goes.
Yeah.
Can I give you another song that I almost put on my album?
Yeah, absolutely.
That I just could not find anywhere for it to go, even in my deluxe, which is Busta Rhymes.
Yes,
and Mariah. I was just like, oh, I want it. Yes. I want it because it's such a.
Could have been
it's
a bonus,
not on an album. It's a beautiful piece of work.
I also think that's such it's a song that I feel course corrected her career.
Yeah, I think so
in a
too.
way. Like it was after Glitter, before Emancipation. And it was like people remembering who the hell Mariah is, but not in a way of like, I'm back, everyone. It was just kind of like, oh, I just happened to be asked to do the song, and here I am being awesome.
With Buster.
My friend Buster Rhymes.
You know.
Because remember, I'm not like, because she was almost the butt of the joke at this point. And so for it to be like, I'm not the butt of a joke, I'm fucking awesome. And he knows that. And he's my friend. So we're going to do this awesome song together. So I'm always kind of appreciative of that song for that reason.
Yeah. It was right there for a while and just went, it just didn't fit because it wasn't all Mariah.
Yeah, no, it's hard.
She was the feature. She wasn't.
I literally have had one feature. I couldn't not go all Mariah.
It's really hard, isn't it?
It is,
right, now,
but it was exciting.
Are you gonna toss your singles at us first, or do you want to head on into bonus track lounge?
I'm gonna go singles, and then I'll give you the title, and then I'll give you the bonus tracks, and then that.
Oh, that's right. Your deluxe album has a different title to the main
It has the main title and then a bit more.
Excellent.
Okay, so my singles, funnily enough, almost in opposing order to the album. The first single is "Vision of Love." There is no other first single.
There is no other first.
There is no other first single. Then, this was hard because I feel like these next two could have been in. They could swap around, so I may still swap them. You know, we're going to see how "Vision of Love" does, and then we're going to revisit. But I can't imagine it would.
Didn't she back up "Vision of Love" with "Love Takes Time"? Like it was ballad on ballad on ballad once upon a time.
Well, this one, I thought I want to show a bit more. So I went for a little fantasy because it's like we're going straight into, there's a hip hop sample on this? Like what? Yeah. And then maybe that could have a bit of ODB on the single version. You know what I mean? So it was like a fun way of going like, hey, here's this awesome song that's also on the album. But there's another version if you like, it's better. Mm-hmm. And then
that's what they did with the real fantasy.
Literally. And then in 20 years, they will probably do another sampling of this for someone else. Yeah. And then just when you think like, bam, bam, a Vision of Love, fantasy, bangers, like big moments, it's like, I'm going to remind you that I'm Mariah Carey and there are even better songs on this album with We Belong Together.
Get Out.
I know.
The third single.
I know. I kind of love messing with people in that way.
You've already had two gigantic hits, and you're gonna give us a third. What's the next? Is it the next single? Just a bunch of shirts in the album sleeve. So many hits.
I just put out a t-shirt. Look, I mean, it's a hit. I think this is a hit in our Mariah's world. I don't know if this was as big a hit in the real world, but it deserves to see the light of day, and it is a more gentle send-off to this album, and that is My All. Because why wouldn't you?
That was I remember that being a fairly big song.
See, I don't remember it being so big here.
Oh, you know what I think it was? It's because Butterfly was the second single. And
Honey was huge.
Honey was massive. Butterfly was not that big.
I remember that more than My All, though.
And then there was another one but there was another one before My All.
Was it Roof?
Was it The Roof? Yeah.
I think so.
And also did not chart hugely. And then My All came out and was like, oh, this is amazing. And suddenly Mariah was back. And it's like, wait a minute, she's back. This is on the album with all the other songs.
Yeah, sure.
It's always been there.
Yeah, I don't remember it popping up, which is funny.
And then she sang it on the Divas concert.
Well, of course, because she's not an idiot. So those are my singles, which brings us to our title, which is so funny, figuring out how you picked your title. Because I had the same experience where having just put out my own album and realizing it's a bit of not a mistake, but it's a bit confusing to have a single and a song and an album and then a show, all with the same word in the title. It felt like it felt right. But now that I've done it, I'm like,
through bits and business.
Yeah. And now that I've done it, I probably won't do that again. I would pick something else as title. And funnily enough, I'll talk about this in Make It Happen, but I have something coming out, or it's probably just come out now that I'm thinking about dates. It is or is not. It was already out. I wanted something called just Club Mixes. Like I just wanted to call this little EP Club Mixes, but they wouldn't let me. They had to call it the Monster Club Mixes. I was so annoyed. And when I say they, it's the distributors. It's not like a record label or anything, but we'll touch on that. But I remember that's where this came in going, I'm not going to do that to Mariah. I'm going to find it from a lyric. But then it was like, well, there's so many great lyrics. What do I do? And I wanted something that encompassed, I suppose, the whimsical nature of all of Mariah's album titles, as well as something maybe tongue-in-cheek, and how can I find that? So as I was listening to my album, I was like looking up every lyric, going, what can it be? And a whole bunch of things that just never quite fitted until we got to that song that everyone knew was going to be on this album, which is Long Ago. And there was the phrase that just sums up this album so well and everything that Mariah does, and that is loving words and fairy tales.
Oh,
because I thought there's the earnest reading of it, which is, that sort of wish fulfillment, like loving words, like this is all my lyrics, and I love to live in a fairy tale sort of rainbow butterfly fantasy land.
I mean, you could have just called it fairy tales, realistically.
I thought about it.
I feel like that's an album Mariah hasn't released yet.
That's true. But then I also like the idea of it, like loving words almost as a sarcastic, like, like kiss off, and fairy tales, like, like this is made up, Tommy. So it sort of brought all of that in for me. And I was like, as soon as I had it, I was like, nothing else is going to work. I was like, do I just call it fairy tales? Do I just call it loving words? There was others, but this was just the one that.
That's cute. What a cute album title.
Thanks.
I've been very excited about this.
It's fun. And then, we have a further title with our deluxe.
Well, because you've decided to rename the deluxe album.
I have. So
are we doing title tracks first and then tracks?
I'm going to do two of the things and then the title and then the last one.
Do things your way. Otherwise, why would we do them?
Exactly. So if you notice from the main album, there's no prisoner. There's all of the sort of campy stuff that I really wanted on there didn't fit with what I was vibing. But I was like, I have to bring something of that in here. And I was like, but Mariah doesn't like all of those songs. So how do I do it in a way that is respectful? And I thought, when you get to the deluxe version, it's time for a live track, I feel.
Oh my
and
God,
so
my whole life from Diva's Live.
No.
So excited. Can't wait.
So I have gone with the MTV Unplugged version of Someday.
Oh, yes.
Boom.
That is great.
I just thought, that this, like, the album has ended. You know this.
Yeah.
But there's fun bonus tracks. Oh, she's live? Oh, this is different. She's got the backing singers. I do think that the Vision of Love live version from the Open Arms single, which I think is Madison Square Garden, is probably my favorite live moment. But we've had Vision of Love. Nothing wrong with having it again, but it's just been.
Also, Vision of Love is such a recorded song. Like, every time I've seen it live, it's been good and in some moments transcendent, but she is physically incapable of singing over herself as she does on the single. Like, it's her vocals dovetailing with herself. Like, it is just a beautiful moment of recorded music, and you can't do that live. It is just, and it doesn't, you can't find a backup singer as good as Mariah.
That's true.
It's just never going to happen. So it will never be as good. But Someday, I don't love the production of that on the album. But oh my God, that live version is just
so good.
Also, just the opening is just blistering. Like, just letting the backup singers have their head. It's just, Yeah.
And so it just felt like the perfect way to jump into a deluxe. Yeah. And then I thought, okay, where do we go from here? We've had so many finales and so many penultimates. And I was like, this is the ultimate penultimate perineum.
Oh.
At number... Perineum.
I like that you say perineum like it's almost a real word about things that are finishing, as opposed to the bit between your asshole and your ballsack.
It's like how I was really only thinking about it the other day of how I've turned hiatus into hiate when it's a singular.
Hiate.
And I don't know where that came from. I don't know why I did that. But
I don't know either. It just happened.
It's silly.
Hiate. Oh, are you on hiate?
So I wanted people to know that, we are coming to the end of this amazing, incredible album.
Yes.
And I was like,
Because it already ended once, and now we're on the deluxe, so we're getting another ending.
And I was like, I've got to do a song that makes people feel like it was worth it. Almost as if we're almost there and almost home. This could not be a last song.
I love how neither of us were willing to sully the real album with Almost Home.
Do you know the reason I did it?
But it had to be on the
I know. The reason I didn't is because she didn't write it.
Same.
So it's just so good. I love it so much.
Yeah.
In that real cheesy way. Like, it's just like, oh, it's everything.
It's like when I was choosing songs, I was like, oh, I've got so many of my favorite Mariah songs are, covers. And then I just couldn't pick one for the album.
No, same. Without You is probably one of my favorite vocals. Like, her runs in that are insane. But it was the same. And I also, the part of it is also the sentimental part of our absolute insane love for this song. Like, it's, like...
Even though she hates it, we absolutely...
We just love it. We had a whole episode. It couldn't not. It would be rude.
I forgot we did an episode on Almost Home.
It's so ridiculous.
Which is where the regular verse came from.
It is the war with Jen from Dawson's Creek.
Jen from Dawson's Creek inventing the regular verse.
Oh my God, it's just so silly. And so I thought, okay, when all this was coming together, we get to our last song, the last of the fisting. But I was like, I think I would like to explain this one a little bit by giving you the title of the deluxe version. Right. And then it'll fit. It'll make sense.
Right.
So this is Loving Words and Fairy Tales. Just Think Again, because I Won't Need Your Love Anymore. Crumpet, Trumpet, Extra Festive Deluxe. That name again. Loving Words and Fairy Tales. Just Think Again, because I Won't Need Your Love Anymore. Crumpet, Trumpet, Extra Festive Deluxe.
Crumpet, Trumpet, Extra Festive Deluxe.
Because we are twins. Twins! And we both realise that it is not a Mariah Carey deluxe album if it is not released at Christmas with the Christmas song to end all Christmas songs, All I Want for Christmas Is You.
I love that we both did Almost Home and All I Want for Christmas Is You.
So stupid. If I could have gotten Oh Holy Night on here, I would have. But
same.
How can you not have All I Want for Christmas Is You?
And if you're going to have a Christmas song, you have to have the Christmas
song. And I thought, if Vision of Love was how I wanted to leave everyone on the main album, All I Want for Christmas is how I want to finish.
Yeah.
It's got to be. It can't just be a deluxe. It has to be an extra festive deluxe.
It's a festive deluxe.
I kept going back and adding words. Like, I think it was the Just Think Again because I Won't Need Your Love Anymore deluxe, and then it was then I put Crumpet, Trumpet in there.
Crumpet, Trumpet,
and then it was Festive Deluxe, and I was like, it's got to be extra Festive Deluxe. Like, I can't just be Festive Deluxe. That's silly. It's got to be extra Festive Deluxe.
At least I managed to make an album with Prisoner on it. That's all I can say.
That's true. I mean, look. So yeah, I feel like if I had made a second silly album, Prisoner would probably be the opening track, and then it would be Almost Home,
lead track, and the finishing track, and also it would be on the bonus tracks.
Yeah. What other songs doesn't she like that we love?
So many.
Yeah. But it probably would have had the covers. It probably would have Without You and Open Arms. It would have had Melt Away, which didn't make it here. But yeah, in the end, like, just looking at both albums, like, it's such a mix. Like, I only had 3 from Daydream, which you would, out of 15, pretty good.
Yeah.
I even had a song from Butterfly.
I don't think I doubled up. Did I? No. Looking at it. I don't think I doubled anything.
Oh.
Did I have 2 rainbows? No.
No, you didn't.
How did I manage that? That's weird.
That's cool. Yeah, no, I definitely doubled up, but it's certainly from a mix of, the whole career.
Because my instinct is to do half of Music Box. And
that was your second silly album. So that's so fun, though. I love that you've got Inside the Golden World. I've got Loving Words and Fairy Tales. They both sound like magical Mariah Carey albums. I would be like, I want these albums. We need the vinyl. It's all happy. I might even design little albums.
I'm looking forward to Justice for Golden World as a hashtag in 20 years' time.
Yeah. Whereas mine will probably be a hit immediately.
Yeah, yours will be a hit. But I opened with Meteorite, and it's amazing. But, that's because I insisted, and the record company told me they didn't want it, and so they buried it. Even though the second single is We Belong Together. I mean, what were they thinking?
Yeah, exactly.
The corporate morgue. They've ruined it.
Everything. Somehow we managed to talk about mine even more without me being moments. So I think we're almost at the end of the podcast. Podcast, baby. Almost there, almost home. You could probably say, but you won't because of copyright.
We are almost home, and just a little quick tour around. Can we find out what you're making happen at the moment?
Make it happen. Okay, so last month I did release a new remix of Have You Seen the Moon Tonight with Bimbo Jones, and then I was like, that's not enough. I'm going to follow this up with a full EP of club mixes extended, because I know you love an extended club mix.
I love an
so
extended club mix.
All of my singles that have been remixed are now out there in full club form.
Oh,
and
sadly, vinyl?
Oh, maybe someday. Just think again, because I won't need your love anymore. So that is out there right now, a little sort of digital bonus for everyone on the Spotifys and the Apple Musics and the YouTubies and the Deezers and everywhere. And so if you'd like even more of me, and to be honest, I feel like some of these ones, I normally like a 3-minute song, but I feel like some of these ones need to be heard in full, just like
Mariah. in full length. So exciting.
Enjoy.
Well, we'll pop a link in the show notes for this week, along with a link to your amazing, beautiful Mariah Carey album that you've curated.
You can all listen to it now.
You can just click away on it and listen to it on your Spotifys. But yeah, the playlist will be there for you, as well as links to the new Dance Mix album. I'm going to call it a dance mix. I know you're calling it a club mix, but I prefer dance mix.
I mean, I think it's because one of them's not particularly dancey, but we'll just go with it anyway. It's a different club, but
it's well, it can be very early in the morning
the seedy
on the way
part
home.
Yeah, it is.
That's when I used to hear my favourite Mariahs. All right, next week we're not having Mariah Monday, unfortunately. It's not that it's a public holiday; it's that the curse of the regular verse has descended upon us again.
She's back. She's back.
She's back, and she's reborn.
Yeah. She sure is.
We are
Apparently.
going to be finding out what happens when you break up with Ben and still have to release an album. All right, we'll see you then. Bye, Emily.
This episode is brought to you by Dragon Ball Legends, the mobile fighting game based on the Dragon Ball series. Featuring high-quality 3D graphics and authentic voice acting, the game follows Shallot, an original character, and his adventures with Goku and others. With intuitive controls and simple card-based gameplay, unleash combos and powerful team-based attacks. Battle players around the world in friendly matches, compete in the rankings, or team up in co-op. And now Dragon Ball Legends' 5th anniversary is on. Download Dragon Ball Legends today.